again. I hope that you have been the kind of person that you really are now. We got to get in straight. How could I ever be late when you're my woman taking up my time? Oh, how could you ever allow? I wonder how would you get out of pocket for fun? How when you know that you never number two. Number one gonna be number one. And I'll be good. I wish I could get this message over to you now. When you shape me again, I hope that you have been the kind of person you really are now. I'll be so good. I wish I could get the message over to you now.
Telephone rings, somebody says, baby, what you doing? I've been wondering where you've been. Now and then I think about you and me. No use fighting about the things we can't recall. It don't matter now at all. Just come on home, baby, we'll laugh and sing, we'll make love, let the telephone ring. Ring, ring, doorbell ring, baby, come on in, got James Teller on the stereo. Glad that you come around, I've been feeling down, talking to Tony and Mario. You know they make good conversation. Still it ain't no consolation. 'Cause I've got love, baby, I give you some. If someone comes, well, let the doorbell ring. Sun around your dirty finger. Rain, rain, voices ring with a happy tune. Anyone can be a singer. The sun comes up across the city. I swear you never look so doggone pretty. Sand with the preacher man, we'll let the wedding bells ring. Hand in hand upon the sand with the preacher man, we'll let the wedding bells ring.
You're listening to the Jams and Coffee Morning Show with your host, Brad Brock.
Yes, good morning, gamers. Welcome to the show. Got a new perspective this morning. Watching. Did a little camera moving around. A little bit of a closer up look at my beautiful face here in the mornings. No, of course, I repositioned the camera so that you could better see my expression when we do the Pocky One Chip Challenge tonight. The Jams and Cocktails podcast. So we did some camera moving around. But that's all good. Welcome to Jams and Coffee here in the morning. I am Brad, and I'll be your host. Thanks for tuning in on YouTube or listening on JNC Radio via the LIVE365 app. Or if you're watching over on Facebook, thank you for tuning in there. Come and visit us over on YouTube, and we always have a party over there, so it'll be a good time. Yeah, here we are, Wednesday already. My goodness. I think I say this every week, but the time just keeps blasting by. Can't believe it's already Wednesday. If you're following along, my foot is much better today. I still am properly unsure what I actually did to it, but Paul actually brought up a good point. Yesterday, he sent me a link to a WebMD, and I think it nailed it. And it's he was calling it extensor tendonitis in the foot, and that pretty much, I was afraid that I had gout. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants gout. But it really didn't follow any of the symptoms of gout. So I was really baffled by what it could possibly be. But that article, Paul, actually really kind of cleared it up. And so, yeah, I took a couple of aspirin yesterday afternoon, and the pain kind of subsided. So much so that I went out and mowed the grass. Probably shouldn't have done that, because I probably made it even more upset, because by the time last night rolled around, it hurt again. But I woke up this morning, and it's still a little tender, but it feels much better. So thanks for listening to my foot update. We know how much we love feet here on the show. Anyway, we're going to do a little check of the weather here on the Treasure Coast. This morning, the temperatures are in the upper 70s to low 80s, with some spotty showers moving in from the ocean. This afternoon, highs are in the low 90s, and the heat indices in the triple digits again. Because why? Because it's hot. Hot. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. We'll see a few isolated storms develop along the sea breeze by early afternoon, and storms inland by late afternoon. Clearing conditions around sunset tonight, lows in the upper 70s and low 80s, with a stray coastal shower possible. So it'll be a nice night to eat a fiery tortilla chip. I want to say hi to my friends Pam, Paul, and Philip. Thank you for joining me over here. Philip, I hope you're doing okay this morning, my friend. But thank you so much for joining me here. Anybody over on Facebook yet? No. They're a bunch of slackers over there. They take a long time to wake up. These knuckleheads. That's all right. We got some interesting stories for you this morning. Some interesting stuff that happened overnight. But I guess we'll kick it off with our national days as per tradition that I've just created in my mind. It is National Eat Outside Day. So, friends, fresh air, and good food are the focus of National Eat Outside Day every year on August 31st. Whether at home, a park, a favorite restaurant, or food truck, or the beach, food just tastes better when it's eaten under the open sky. Now, many foods have lent themselves to eating outdoors, but sometimes it's as simple as taking your prepared plate out to the balcony, porch, or patio. Also known as al fresco dining, Many restaurants offer patio seating so their patrons can enjoy their meals while taking in the city, beach, countryside, or just people watch. One of my favorite things to do. Even more temperate climates offer seasonal outdoor seating. So Eat Outside Day encourages you to taste the sunshine or the moonlight while eating your meal. It's like a mini staycation where you get to recharge while enjoying a delicious outdoor feast. So eat something outside today. I think I might. I'm actually slated this afternoon to go and pick up a keg from Hop Life Brewing, a keg of Fire Hog, because next Wednesday night is National Beer Lovers Day, and Hop Life will be our featured place and guests on our show next week. So very exciting stuff there, and we'll have a fresh keg of Fire Hog Lager to enjoy. So, and they have a great permanent food truck there that they run and operate at Hop Life, and I think maybe that's where I'll have lunch today. Look at me making plans here on the air. Love it when plans come together. Next on the list here is National Matchmaker Day. On August 31st, National Matchmaker Day honors romantics whose dauntless pursuit of perfect purchase for Cupid's arrow results in lasting love stories. Playing matchmaker requires a bit of social savvy. It also requires the ability to listen and timing. They know each friend's habits, good and bad, their passions and hobbies. And when there's a spark, even when the prospective couple is painfully unaware, the matchmaker knows. While the matchmaker isn't always successful, her or his heart is certainly in the right place, and it's all about love after all, isn't it? Even the success stories can be quite entertaining, and National Matchmaker Day celebrates them all. Awkward blind dates, miscommunications, and yes, even the complete mismatches. The celebration raises a toast to the people who bring lovers together. Here's to you, matchmakers. For you Carolina people, it's National South Carolina Day. That's right. In 2017, the National Day calendar began celebrating each state, including National South Carolina Day, in the order they entered the Union. So starting the week of Independence Day and ending with Hawaii. We highlight a small part of each state's history, foods, and the people who make up the state. Many states have their own state celebrations and national calendars. Observances do not replace them. There's so much more to explore. So, South Carolina Day, the Palmetto State, and her unique landscapes, bold personalities, and long history. The Catawbas and Cherokee were some of the first to greet Spanish and French explorers in the 16th century. Their tribes dotted the land with villages. The English establishments established the first successful settlement near present-day Charleston, named Carolina, initially after King Charles. The colony later split into North and South Carolina in 1710. Following in the footsteps of the previous colonies, South Carolina would become the 8th state to ratify the Constitution. So, you South Carolinians. Carolinans? What's the word for that? Somebody educate me. And finally, observed annually on August 31st, National Trail Mix Day. It honors, of course, the mix developed as a healthy snack for long hikes. Filled with nuts, dried fruit, and grains, trail mix packs a boost of carbohydrates when the body needs it most. The nuts supply good fats as well as sustained energy, too. And since it's lightweight, trail mix travels easily as well. On long trails, while camping, trail mix keeps without spoiling since most of the ingredients are dried. Now, 2 California surfers claimed the creation of trail mix. In 1968, they blended peanuts and raisins for an energy snack. However, in the 1958 novel, The Dharma Bums, written by Jack Kerouac, the 2 main characters mentioned trail mix when planning meals for their hiking trip. Did you know that trail mix is sometimes referred to as gorp? That's my new name for it. I'm going to be called, hey, where's my gorp? Going on a very long hike today. I need my gorp. That sounds silly. And so, yes, there's your national days today. Interesting. I feel like I missed a couple here. Let me look and see. Sometimes it's not accurate. Oh, here's an important one. It's just an international day. International Overdose Awareness Day is on August 31st. And, of course, it focuses on reducing the number of deaths caused by overdose and erasing the stigma that's associated with it. Besides death, drug overdoses also cause permanent injuries. Both of these scenarios devastate family members and friends of those who have suffered an overdose. This observance seeks to help people cope with the pain and grief overdoses cause. Another important message on this day is to discuss how overdoses are entirely preventable. So without getting into all the statistics, community health groups, medical professionals, and policymakers organize a variety of events on International Overdose Awareness Day. These events include outreach drives, conferences, and workshops, and they're held to educate the public about the growing problem of overdose. During many of these events, information on how to identify drug dependency and overdose is given. So it's important for those of you and those of us that are not particularly struggling with substance abuse. It's important to check in on your friends and your family and make sure that they're all good. Certainly, if you suspect it, and there are ways to go about it. You can't go right out and just be like, "You drug addict." You know, be cool, man. But also get them to recognize it, because I've had some friends that have accidentally and purposefully overdosed, and it's just not a good thing. Not a good thing at all. So today is the day to recognize that. What else did I miss? That's National Franchise Appreciation Day also. Oh, this one's in a different color. Hard to read. But the objective of Franchise Appreciation Day is to create awareness to increase customers' knowledge of the importance of using social media networks and location-based services to connect with and continue to support local franchises. How about that? Bringing technology together. Customers will receive discounts and giveaways to enjoy a day in support of their favorite franchises. Franchisers will show appreciation to the customers that support their businesses year-round. How about that? You might get some coupons today out there, you guys. Go support your local franchise. Because the truth is, just because it's Subway, it's still your neighbor that owns that franchise, living in the same city as you. So, sometimes you get a hankering for that sweet onion chicken teriyaki. So it's okay to go and buy it because you're supporting your neighbor, your local franchise. Okay, I think I got it. That's all the national days finally. And speaking of eating, I feel like we talk about that a lot here on the show. Speaking of eating, I'm a little hungry this morning. But a question that you may get up in the morning and ask yourself while looking tiredly into the mirror, seeing the red in your eyes, wiping the sleep from them, you may look at yourself and pose the question, why do I feel sleepy after eating? Well, I may not have the answer, but I may have a suggestion. So the truth is, few things are as irresistible as slumber's post-lunch siren call. But why do we feel sleepy after eating? After all, food is an energy source, right? Not an energy sapper. Unfortunately, the human body isn't that simple, folks. With a cornucopia of factors coming into play to determine how tired a person feels. When we eat a meal, it spurs a series of actions in the gut and across the body. That's according to Claire Short, a nutritionist with a background in microbiology. According to her as well, undulating blood sugar levels may be one of the contributing factors to the sleepy feeling we experience after food. When we eat high sugar foods, it can cause our blood sugar to rise and then fall very quickly. The resulting crash can lead to sudden tiredness. Who knew? However, this isn't the only thing to consider when trying to avoid a 3 p.m. slump, as our hormones have a role to play as well. After eating, we can sometimes see a spike in the production and release of serotonin, although this is colloquially known as the feel-good hormone. It can also have other side effects also. Increased level of hormones may lead us to feeling a little drowsy, Short said. Some researchers suggest that increased levels of the hormone serotonin cause this. Serotonin also plays a critical role in our mood and sleep cycles. And when levels rise after a meal, it can lead to making you feel sleepy. Lord knows, after I eat lunch, it is a struggle not to just curl up on the couch, take a nice hour-long nap, or whatever, however much time I'm allotted or is available. A review of studies published in the Sports Medicine Journal states serotonin has been linked to fatigue because of its well-known effects on sleep, lethargy and drowsiness, and a loss of motivation. Although the same piece also notes more robust evidence is needed to prove that serotonin plays a significant role there. So while it can't be said for certain, a boost in serotonin levels after eating could be responsible for that horrible, groggy feeling. Ms. Short told Live Science that some foods are more likely to cause tiredness than others. Eating foods rich in amino acids called tryptophan may bring out some drowsiness. We all know about tryptophan on Thanksgiving. We know that turkey is loaded with it. And this is because it's involved in the production of serotonin. Tryptophan is found in many protein-rich foods like cheese, eggs, tofu, and turkey, of course. Now, there are some other foods like cherries. They can affect your melatonin levels, which can enhance your sleep. You can even buy milk with high levels of melatonin, pitched at helping improving your sleep. A 2015 study on the psychological effects of melatonin, published in the Neurochirurgy Journal, reinforces the link between melatonin levels and sleep. It states, there is some evidence that melatonin stabilizes and strengthens coupling of circadian rhythms, especially of core temperature and sleep-wake rhythms. How about that? It's hard to provide a decisive list of ingredients to use for a less languid mood after meals. According to Ms. Short, this is because a person's reaction to certain types of foods may also come down to allergies or intolerances. There's so much to consider. Feeling fatigued or fuzzy after a meal, sometimes known as brain fog, is commonly seen in individuals with food allergies and intolerances, or in those with a condition called small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or SIBO. SIBO can be diagnosed using a glucose or lactulose breath test. You should speak with your doctor if you suspect that you might have SIBO. Well, research is yet to provide a final answer on why sometimes people feel sleepy after eating. Ms. Short advised that there are some steps people can take if they're trying to increase their afternoon productivity levels. Including high-fiber foods with meals can help to stabilize your blood sugar levels and avoid that crash, meaning you're less likely to be sleepy. And try to eat regular meals and avoid eating very large portions. This can overload your digestive system, making you feel tired and sluggish. So there you go. Some possible reasons to why you feel sleepy. Just looking at the comments here. Philip says, so Mexican food probably isn't in the sleep food group. I don't know, Philip. There's a lot of starches in those tortillas. But it does sound delicious, doesn't it? Makes me want tacos. That's possible I may have tacos for lunch. Oh, man. You guys are running the chats over there this morning. But yes, so just pay attention to what you eat out there. Unless you really like those afternoon naps. I, for one, sometimes love them. Jason, tuning in over there on Facebook. Good morning, my friend. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah. I'm a terrible offender of eating one giant meal throughout most of my day. And sometimes I'll have dinner way, way later in the evening. But boy, I love my lunches. I will tear up my lunches. It's like my me meal, you know? Like I get to go and have whatever I want and take my time eating it. Not rushed for anything really. So I indulge. But the truth is, I should probably, you know, have a salad or something much, much lighter. But yeah, what are you gonna do? Something to chew on, if you will. Some national news that we woke up to this morning. Mikhail Gorbachev, the former Soviet president who took down the Iron Curtain, has passed away at the age of 91. He died after a long illness, the Russian state news agencies reported. They said Mikhail Gorbachev died this evening after a severe and prolonged illness. The man credited with introducing key political and economic reforms to the USSR and helping to end the Cold War had been in failing health for some time. Vladimir Putin expressed his condolences, according to a spokesman. Other world leaders also paid tribute to Gorbachev on Tuesday, with U.S. President Joe Biden calling him a man of remarkable vision in a statement. As leader of the USSR, he worked with President Reagan to reduce our two countries' nuclear arsenals to the relief of people worldwide praying for an end to the nuclear arms race. Adding that Gorbachev's reforms led to a safer world and greater freedom for millions of people. President of the European Commission wrote on Twitter that Gorbachev's role in ending the Cold War opened the way for a free Europe, and this legacy is one we will not forget. With his outgoing, charismatic nature, Gorbachev broke the mold for Soviet leaders, who until then had mostly been remote, icy figures. Almost from the start of his leadership, he strove for significant reforms so the system would work more efficiently and more democratically. Hence the two key phrases of the Gorbachev era, glasnost, which means openness, and perestroika. Yeah, which means restructuring. He later said, I began these reforms, and my guiding stars were freedom and democracy without bloodshed, so the people would cease to be a herd led by a shepherd. They would become citizens. And Mr. Gorbachev will be buried next to his wife in Moscow. So the end of an era there. That was big news in the 80s, you guys. We're going to take a quick music break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the Artemis 1 rescheduled launch. That's happening. As long as the weather holds out there. I need a particular song here, but I can't find it. Where it at? I'm gonna find it. You hold tight. I'm dedicating this one, of course, to my hurt foot. I had to take the time to find this song because it's so good. This is Sandman Sleeps. This is Feet. You're listening to Jams and Coffee in the Morning. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Jams and Coffee Morning Show.
You sure are. Welcome back to the show here, Jams and Coffee in the Morning. Live on YouTube, JNC Radio on the Live365 app, and Facebook. We have love for you over there, too, watching. We do hope that you come and join us over on YouTube like Jason did. Thanks for tuning in over there, my friend. I am watching the chats and comments as best as I can here. Chat with you all. But you can also give me a shout here in the studio on the JNC hotline, 772-888-1596. The nice robot will take your name and your message and put you in hold, and then it'll let me know what you're calling for, so we can get to it. Before the break, I mentioned that the Artemis 1 launch is rescheduled. So the uncrewed Artemis 1 mission will get another attempt at launching on a journey around the moon on Saturday, which surprisingly wasn't one of the days that they initially came up with. But perhaps some changing weather patterns offered that day up. So I thought it was either Friday or the 5th. But apparently the 3rd is okay too. So there's a 2-hour launch window that opens at 2:17 p.m. on Saturday, September 3rd. After the launch was scrubbed on Monday morning, the launch team spent the remainder of the day evaluating data gathered. Where was I? Oh, yes, gathered during the attempt. We were here covering live, in fact. Mission managers shared an update Tuesday evening. The Artemis 1 stack, which includes the Space Launch System rocket and the Orion spacecraft, continues to sit on Launch Pad 39B at Kennedy Space Center here in Florida. One of the rocket's 4 RS-25 engines, identified as the infamous engine number 3, was not able to reach the proper temperature range that is required for the engine to start at liftoff. The engines need to be thermally conditioned before super cold propellant flows through them before liftoff. To prevent the engines from experiencing any temperature shocks, the launch controllers increase the pressure of the core stage liquid hydrogen tank to send a little bit of the liquid hydrogen to the engines, and this is known as a bleed. Right then, now you can add that to your vocabulary and use it in your daily speech. Liquid hydrogen is about minus 423 degrees Fahrenheit. It's very cold. And engine number 3 was probably about 30 to 40 degrees warmer than the other engines, which reached about minus 410 degrees Fahrenheit. That's according to John Honeycutt, the manager of the Space Launch System program at NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center in Alabama. Mission manager suspected that engine number 3, that the issue is actually a problem with the bleed system rather than the actual engine. A faulty sensor may be providing an incorrect reading of the engine temperature. Could you imagine all that over a sensor? Like those O2 sensors in your car. I just go out willy-nilly. Your car's going to blow up. I always do. Honeycutt said the way the sensor is behaving doesn't line up with the physics of the situation. The team plans to begin the bleed 30 to 45 minutes earlier in the countdown than it occurred on Monday and monitor the engine temperature during the bleed. Coming into yesterday's attempt, we said that if we couldn't thermally condition the engines, we're not going to launch. And that's the same posture they're going to take into Saturday. Removing and replacing the sensor would be tricky at the launch pad, so the only alternative is rolling it back into the vehicle assembly building for servicing. That's according to Charlie Blackwell Thompson, the Artemis launch director at NASA's Exploration Ground Systems program. Now, there were several other issues like storms. There was a leak on an 8-inch line that is used to fill and drain the rocket's core stages, liquid hydrogen, and a hydrogen leak from a vent valve on the core's stage's intertank. It also caused delays on Monday morning that prevented liftoff during the 2-hour launch window. Man, there was a lot of leaks on this thing. Philip said an OBG2 scanner would diagnose that. I don't know, buddy. Probably get one on Amazon. I should probably get one from Amazon. A lot of leaks on this thing. I mean, to be fair, there's a tremendous amount of pressure. But you think they got that figured out by now. Mike Serafin, the Artemis mission manager at NASA headquarters, said we agreed on what was called Option 1, which was to operationally change the loading procedure and start our engine chill down earlier. We also agreed to do some work on the pad to address the leak that we saw at the hydrogen tail service mask umbilical. The current forecast for Saturday includes a chance of showers and thunderstorms, of course, in the morning and early afternoon hours, so the launch team will keep a close eye on the forecast. According to meteorologist Mark Berger, launch weather officer with the U.S. Space Force's 45th Weather Squadron. There is a 60% chance of weather during the launch window, Berger said. There is still a backup opportunity for the Artemis mission to launch on September 5th as well, which I mentioned. Of course, the Artemis 1 mission is just the beginning of a program that will aim to return humans to the moon and eventually land crewed missions on Mars. So there you go. Hey, at least we'll have the day off. Pop outside and see what's going on with the launch. Sounds fun. Not sure where I'm playing on Saturday. Hopefully it's later in the evening so I can get out there and watch it too. Maybe even jump online and give you guys some coverage. And because everyone knows that I'm an expert on spaceflight. There's no bigger astronaut than me. But before we move on to news stories, I'm going to give you a little preview. Of what to expect. What to expect tonight on the Jams and Cocktails podcast, live 8 p.m. Eastern. We're doing the Pocky One Chip Challenge, you guys, and it's the 2022 edition. The last time I did this was a few years ago. It was the 2020 edition, and I was the only one on the panel that did it. It was a gift from Derek. It was during we had Johnny Ringo on from the Code Rum Company. It was during his interview show. And during that show, I decided it was the very first challenge that we did that sparked all the other challenges because it went over so well. So this is we did this one. I did it myself. It was horrible, you guys. Horrendous. It was I never had anything that hot before in my life. And now this one is updated. It's supposedly a little hotter. Made with a higher concentration of the Carolina Reaper peppers. And it also has scorpion pepper now. But their biggest selling point on this particular one is that it turns your tongue blue. So we'll have to get a nice photo of that for Instagram once we complete the challenge. So there are some steps. So we're gonna try to do this the right way. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm gonna pull it up here. There's a timeline that you have to go without drinking anything, right? So let's pull it up and see what the challenge is. Let's see if we're going to be a wuss or not. So here we go. So what they say is, how long can you last before you short circuit, which is eating or drinking anything for relief, right? So if you can only go 1 minute after eating the chip, you're powerless, they say. 10 minutes and you're powerful. If you can go 30 minutes not eating or drinking anything for relief, you are supercharged. And if you can go 1 hour without eating or drinking anything for relief, you're invincible. Invincible, they say. So, you know, we're gonna contrary to many of our challenges, which we drag out the show and you know, try to keep people entertained up until we build up the courage to do it. We're gonna knock this one right out of the gate. So be sure to tune in early. You know, get there at 8 p.m. and get in there, because we're gonna do our shot of the week. I'm gonna make sure it's something nice and sweet to coat our tongues in that sugar. And then we're getting right into this, man. We're getting right in to this challenge, and then we're gonna try to do the whole rest of the show. The whole rest of the show after eating this chip. And I'm going to give you a little history. There's been some incidences, people doing this challenge, and it's sent into the hospital. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Of course, we'll have the Geordie Files, where Jordan will attempt to get through some news, some pop news. That we'll all talk about. Ellie's Bad Bitch Bible Study. She'll give us something uplifting and encouraging to talk about. We'll try to get through Name That Tune, a themed Name That Tune round. It's going to be a riot. I can't wait. I can't wait to not be the only one doing this challenge. It's going to be fun. So tune in tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right where you're watching this show. Wherever you're watching the show or listening to the show right now, we'll be right back here in 12 hours or so doing this challenge. So it's going to be a great time. And everybody's on board, so as long as everything stays the course, we'll have Ellie and Derek here to do it with us. Philip said he meant to order that for Pam. Philip said, just give me the dog collars. Yeah, maybe we'll do that too. We'll add insult to injury. I know that's one of Derek's favorite games, so I'll have to charge up the shock collars. It's just gonna be an episode of abuse this week, so be sure to tune in. It's gonna be a good time. Speaking of abuse, this is an abuse of perfectly good alleged cocaine. This article cracked me up reading it. This is an absolute perfect example of being politically correct when writing an article. So kudos to the author of this. But the U.S. Customs sees nearly 1,533 pounds of alleged cocaine in a shipment claiming to be baby wipes. That's right. This happened on Friday. The seizure happened at the Laredo port of entry on the U.S.-Mexico border in Texas. Surprise, surprise. Officers said they sent a truck into a secondary non-intrusive inspection as it crossed the U.S.-Mexico border. With the help of a canine officer, they made the seizure. The manifest for the shipment claimed that it contained baby wipes. Instead, there were 1,935 packages with nearly 1,533 pounds of alleged narcotics. Alleged. We're not sure. No idea. Innocent until proven guilty, I suppose. According to a release from the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, the agency claimed the street value for the alleged narcotics is over $11 million. It's unclear how the officers came to that estimated value. That article is crap. Oh, my God. They should be fired. How is it alleged drugs? Is it were they just waiting on? Did they need to get the story out so fast that, it could be powdered sugar? I don't know. Alleged cocaine. Whenever I carry narcotics around, it's alleged narcotics. We're unsure. Anyway, moving right along. Here's another sad story for someone. Remember just last month, we were all buzzing about that $1.34 billion lottery prize? I went and bought tickets. I'm sure you did too. It's still unclaimed. Some knucklehead is out there holding or has lost the ticket. Just around a month ago, a ticket for the second largest Mega Millions jackpot was sold, netting the winner close to $1.34 billion with a B dollars. There's just one problem. The winner has not picked up their gargantuan prize yet. The ticket was purchased from a Speedway gas station in Des Plaines, around a 20-mile drive northwest of downtown Chicago, on July 29th. The ticket hit the top prize in the drawing on the same day. But as of August 30th, the jackpot has still not been claimed. The Mega Millions jackpot winner isn't the only lottery winner who hasn't picked up their prize yet. According to the Illinois Lottery website, a $1 million prize bought in February and several six-figure prizes have also not yet been claimed. Does this sound suspicious? I don't know. Just a normal guy with a humble opinion. Prizes must be claimed within 1 year, says the Illinois Lottery. Previous news release about the win, lottery officials said it's pretty common for large prize winners to wait to collect their earnings. It wouldn't be me. Girl, I'd have that money tomorrow. Up over $1 billion, that's drop everything you're doing. Nothing, with the exception of like family or you can't get out of bed because you have health problems. You're just, sitting around watching Jeopardy. No, son, you gotta go. For a prize of this magnitude, it's not unusual for the winner to take some time to claim, says the Illinois Lottery Director Harold Mays in the release. I'm sure they're just going through a range of emotions. I'm sure they are. Probably cardiac arrest. The lottery advises winners to sign the back of their ticket and store it safely. Consult professional financial and legal advice about their winnings, and then call the lottery hotline to arrange a time to claim their prize. Even if the prize is claimed, the greater public may still never know who the lucky winner is. Winners of $250,000 or more can stay anonymous in Illinois. Wonder what it is here in Florida. No one would ever know. No one would ever know that I won the lottery. I could have won it already. I might have been that winner from Jensen Beach. You would never know. I wouldn't tell a soul. I wouldn't tell anyone. I wouldn't even tell Jordan. I'd still make her go halvesies at every restaurant. But Mays says in the release, we will work closely with the winner to respect any wishes for privacy and support them in any way we can to provide a positive winning experience if they ever come forward. So in limbo right now is $1.34 billion. Just because somebody has not claimed it. Unbelievable. Wild to me. We'll take another quick music break. When we come back, I got some celebrity birthdays for you. And I got another story about your doppelganger. They don't just look like you. Find out what else is going on in the doppelganger world when we come back. You're listening to Jams and Coffee in the Morning on YouTube, Facebook, and JNC Radio. The line's open, 772-888-1596. We'll see you in just a minute. Here's one from Deal James. This is Lemon Water.
My mama said, baby, you like to be alone, but then I said, you know how I love your little lessons. My daddy said, nothing wrong with being on solo, but don't forget, he had to fight water with affection. Everybody wants someone to love. 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 Salt and pepper, lemon, water, peanut butter, jelly. Where's my other half? Rice and beans and coffee, cream tortilla, chips and salsa. I'm a man with no hair. You know you had somebody to love. 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 Salt and pepper, lemon, water, peanut butter, jelly. Where's my other half? Rice and beans and coffee, cream tortilla, chips and salsa. I'm a man with no bed. Salt and pepper, lemon, water, peanut butter, jelly. Where's my other half? Rice and beans and coffee, cream tortilla, chips and salsa. I'm a man with no head. Everybody wants someone to love. 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 Yeah.
All right, we're back. Thanks for tuning in to Jams and Coffee in the Morning. I really do appreciate you guys hanging out with me in the mornings. It's a lot of fun. And I learned so many new things. I never read the news as much as I do now since I started doing this show. And it gets me up. I'm up out of bed. I don't feel like I need to sleep in. It's wonderful. I was also reading this Pocky One Chip Challenge box, and on the bottom it says, "This chip will shock you." So Derek, if you're out there, it's a shocking chip as well. That's going to be terrible tonight. I'm very excited. Some celebrity birthdays this morning. Turning 51 years old, comedian and actor who starred in the Rush Hour franchise, Chris Tucker, celebrating his birthday today. He and Jackie Chan won an MTV Movie Award for Best On-Screen Duo. He also appeared with Ice Cube in Friday and with Bruce Willis in The Fifth Element, of course. Great film. Back in 1997. That's the year. Turning 73 years old today, leading man Richard Gere, who starred in classics such as Pretty Woman and Chicago. His other major films include Runaway Bride, Primal Fear, First Night, and The Jackal. 2019, he had his first major TV role. 2019, his first major TV role in Mother, Father, Son. Happy birthday, Richard Gere. Silver Fox. More white than silver these days. That's 73. Still a good-looking dude. Just a few years older than that, the Irish musician best known to American audiences for his hits Brown Eyed Girl and Moondance, Van Morrison, turning 77. Can you believe this? He released his 36th studio album, Keep Me Singing, in 2016. 36 studio albums. I'd like to find a list. I'd like to find a list of how many artists in history have released 30-plus studio albums, not including live records, but studio albums. The music just flows through this guy. Van Morrison, 77. Keep going. I hope he lives forever and keeps releasing records. He was just here few months ago, maybe a year ago now, I don't know. It all kind of runs together, but he was down here in South Florida. Wasn't able to get to that show, but pop singer-songwriter who became the youngest woman to write, produce, and perform a Billboard Hot 100 #1 single, Debbie Gibson. She's turning 52 years old today. Of course, the single is Foolish Beat. Her debut album, Out of the Blue, went certified triple platinum. So Debbie Gibson, 52. Happy birthday, you guys. Awesome stuff. So have you ever noticed somebody that looks just like somebody that you know? Or have you seen yourself in a stranger? Not that kind of seen yourself in a stranger. Your mind's out of the gutter. Get my mind out of the gutter. No. We're talking about doppelgangers. But you may be surprised to know that your doppelganger doesn't just look like you, but they behave like you as well. And I'm going to tell you why. Let me set the scene. Somewhere out there, there's probably a person who has your face. And this unrelated look-alike may have more in common with you than just appearances, a new study suggests. Surprising research based on 32 pairs of unrelated doppelgangers from around the world shows that two people who have a strong facial similarity to each other are also likelier to share significantly more of their genes and be more likely to share similar behaviors. But the genes that get switched on or off and the microbial ecosystems in the two people's bodies still differ, of course. Not the same. But these virtual twins had never met and were instead recruited thanks to the work of Canadian artist and photographer Francois Brunel, who had been collecting pictures of lookalikes since 1999. The researchers published their findings just last week, August 23rd, in the Journal of Cell Reports. Our study provides a rare insight into human likeness by showing people with extreme lookalike faces share common genotypes, whereas they are discordant as the pigenome. Pigenome? Oh, gosh. I sound like an idiot. If the shoe fits. These, of course, are the genes that are switched on or off. We'll just go with that. And the microbiome levels. That's according to senior author Manel Esteller, the director of the Josep Carreras Leukemia Research Institute in Barcelona, Spain, in a statement. Genomics cluster them together, and the rest set them apart. A lot of funny words these scientists come up with. Just call it what it is, for God's sake. Now, for this study, the 32 lookalike pairs completed a lifestyle and biometric questionnaire in their native languages, and the researchers used 3 different facial recognition algorithms to score the pairs' likenesses, of which half were considered doppelgangers by all 3 algorithms. Taking these 16 highly similar pairs, the researchers then investigated their genomic structure, including DNA analysis. The analysis revealed that 9 of the 16 pairs were ultra lookalikes, which means they not only appeared closely related, they also shared 19,277 common genetic variations. For you nerds out there, that's called single nucleotide polymorphisms. Single nucleotide polymorphisms, or SNPs, which is what we're going to call them. And that was at 3,730 of those genes. However, these extreme lookalikes were no more likely to share similar epigenetics or microbiomes than pairs that did not look alike. Many of the lookalikes didn't just share some of their genetics either, but also had similar smoking habits, education levels, and weights. Reminder that behavior can be profoundly influenced by genes, and not the Levi's kind. Well, I've been known to strut my stuff a little more in Levi's jeans or You know, if Jason, you're still out there listening, pulling yourself into the tightest wranglers of your life, we've been there. Jason Ambrose, of course, a wonderful singer, entertainer, and songwriter, and guitarist, a great guitarist too, fronting the band Rough Shot and doing his own solo thing, and a good buddy of mine to boot. But yeah, we back in the day, back in the line dance days, the early 2000s, boy, pulling on those Wrangler jeans. Those were the days, huh? Not anymore. Not for Fat Boy here. But I digress. These findings do not only provide clues about the genetic setting associated with our facial aspect and probably other traits of our body and personality, but also highlight how much of what we are and what defines us is really inherited or instead is acquired during our lifetime. And that's according to the authors of the study. Perhaps most fascinating of all is that these genetic similarities between unrelated doppelgangers occurred by random chance, implying that the combination of the human genome can are far from infinite, especially on a planet that is fast approaching a population of 8 billion people. What that means is there's not a lot of new stuff going around. So we have a finite amount of what people should look like, I suppose. The researchers say that their findings could be used in fields such as evolution, biomedicine, and forensics. These results will have future implications in forensic medicine, reconstructing the criminal's face from DNA, and in genetic diagnosis. The photo of the patient's face will already give you clues as to which genome he or she has, according to Stellar. And through collaborative efforts, the ultimate challenge would be to predict the human face structure based on genes and other factors. So you can take a little snapshot and a blood sample of your kid and see what they're going to look like as a grown-ass adult. And just hope that it's not like this. Hope and pray. And check that out. So that, yeah, they're saying that your doppelganger probably has shared behaviors with you as well. Interesting story there. Very sci-fi. Very sci-fi. I don't say so myself. How about you out there? Have you guys ever found a doppelganger or somebody that looked suspiciously just like you? I've had some people come out or send me photos saying, "Oh, I found your doppelganger in, Ibiza or wherever." Not sure why I chose Ibiza, but I imagine if my doppelganger were out there, they'd be in Ibiza. I want to be in Ibiza. Jordan would back me up on that. She also would like to be in Ibiza. I am. You never know. You never can tell. It's funny. Justin Stewart, and I'm not going to mention names because I know both of these humans now. And but they share such a similar face that I have been known to call out the other's name across the bar at the person whose name it wasn't, and then feel like a complete idiot. Now that I know them both, it's different, Before I only knew one of these people, and I didn't know this other guy. But now that I know them both, because finally I had to go and I've waved to him so many times thinking it was somebody else. I finally had to go and be like, "Hey man, I'm not a creep," even though I am a creep. But I had to go and break the ice and be like, "Man, I feel like," and he said, he's like, "This is not the first time this has happened." So I felt better. Now we're friends. Now I can distinctly know and tell the difference between these two people. But yeah, it's a real thing. It's true. Paul has a doppelganger. I'd like to meet them. I didn't know it wasn't Paul. Not for my story, anyway. Speaking of Paul, listen, you guys, go and check out Paul's latest Drums and Rums podcast, 112, with Matt Pietrek. It just dropped yesterday, and we're running a little contest. If you go and listen to that show, and you could tell me tonight on the Jams and Cocktails podcast, the first person to message it to me when the show is live, to tell me what was the first band Matt Pietrek named in the In 4 Sips or Less question. So there's a segment in his podcast called In 4 Sips or Less, and you can name me the first band that Matt Pietrek named. You'll get some swag. You're going to get a prize. So just write that down. Go listen to the Drums and Rums podcast, episode 112 with Matt Pietrek. And tell me what the first band Pat Pietrek named in the 4 Sips or Less segment. I think it's the third question. So, but it's worth a listen. Listen to the whole thing, but I think it's the third question there. Yeah, Paul. I got, I think, where are we at here? Yeah, one more story here before we jump into our top 10 list, and then shameless plugs, and we're out. The NFL's head of music came out to explain the real reason that artists don't get paid to perform at the Super Bowl. It doesn't matter if you're Lady Gaga, Bruce Springsteen, J-Lo, The Weeknd, or Eminem. When you perform at the Super Bowl halftime show, you don't get paid. The NFL's first head of music, who was just appointed in April, is coming clean about why that is. Seth Dudowski, who's been with the league since 2013, tells Billboard the most valuable currency that exists in our culture at this point is a captive audience, people's attention. It's the hardest thing to capture no matter who you are. So the real value that our platforms offer is the promotional value of being up on that stage. Oh boy, back to the old adage, play for exposure. God, this makes my heart break. We'll pay you an exposure. All 10 people at our bar will get to see you. This is on a much larger scale, though. Dudowski says that in addition to the halftime show, which attracts hundreds of millions of viewers, performers also benefit from being featured in a huge marketing campaign and get payments to license their music for advertising purposes. Then, of course, there's the inevitable sales bump that comes after the game. Using the 2020 halftime show, which featured Shakira and J-Lo as an example of that, Dudowski boasts, when you look at Shakira's Whenever, Wherever, becoming a number one song on iTunes almost 20 years after it was released, in terms of value, that's something that for a lot of artists isn't even quantifiable. As for who might perform during the halftime in 2023, Dudowski says, I can't speak to where we are this year, but historically, we are starting to solidify plans with an artist with the goal of announcing in season who the artist is. No matter who it is, though, he says, we're already planning the production. So Super Bowl 57 will be held February 12th at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. Well, can't wait to see who that's going to be. And yeah, I mean, I guess how can you argue with that kind of compensation? Guess you can't. Guess you can't argue with that. So with that being said, I think we'll go ahead and get into our top 10 list here. Now listen, although the approaches vary, most invisibility technology techniques bend light around objects so that the objects can no longer be seen. Well, the technology isn't exactly new, but it is in more or less constant flux. The latest innovations in material designs and application occurring relatively frequently. Nevertheless, serious challenges remain, and much of the work presently underway concerns finding solutions to the technology's current limitations. And this list reveals 10 of the incredible innovations in invisibility technology. Let's do it. Top 10 list. Number 10 on the list here. Joseph Choi's Rochester cloak doesn't render objects completely invisible, but it does have a couple of advantages over more sophisticated devices. First, it's less expensive and more practical. The Rochester cloak uses 4 standard achromatic lenses with 2 different focal lengths, all of which can be bought at a typical optics store. Together, the lenses narrow a beam of light between one lens and the next before the beam of light widens again, filling the following lens. As a result, a donut shape is created around the tightest focal point. Any object or objects occupying that space around the lens's center point become invisible. A video demonstrating the Rochester cloak in action is quite impressive indeed, so go and YouTube that after the show. Number 9 on the list. Most invisibility devices are pricey, but thanks to a Kickstarter campaign in April of this year, the invisibility shield set buyers back only about $65 for a small size. The full-size shield, measuring 37.4 by 25.6 inches, costs $389. Unfortunately, the shields will have almost certainly sold out by now. However, as the campaign demonstrated, invisibility devices need not be only for the wealthy. The shield, if mass-produced, should be well within most people's means. So, the device, manufactured by Invisibility Shield Company, diffuses light with a set of upright lenses. So observers see a reflection of objects to their left and right, rather than what's directly in front of them. The effect can be a bit patchy looking, though. According to the company, it's best to use the shield in an area with a uniform background, such as foliage, sand, the sky, or asphalt, so that the shield's view matches the surrounding area. So yeah, you right down in a bush, where a bush is behind you, it looks just like the bush on either side. Nobody even knows you're there. Interesting. Number 8 on this list. Inspired by both her love of Harry Potter and fencing, a sport in which slashing and poking one's opponent is possible. All the fun. Northwestern student Julia Abelsky, yeah, we'll go with that, who majored in both math and statistics, developed her nanoscale invisibility cloak. According to a Campus Life article concerning the inventor, Abelsky's cloak is made of a dye-block copolymer that mimics the unusual refractive properties of the mineral calcite. Abelsky uses an analogy to explain how her device cloaks objects. She mimicked the way that water flows around a boulder in a river by directing a stream of light particles around objects. Since the diverted particles no longer strike the object, they cannot bounce back or refract from the object to hit our eyeballs. As a result, we do not see the object. It becomes invisible to us. Invisibility has multiple practical applications, not only for the military, but also for radar, deep-sea sensors, super lenses, and possibly the development of high-powered glasses that would enable people who are currently considered too blind to see. Which is interesting. Number 7 on our list is Kelly Kinzig, the manager of education experiences at Marvel's Universe of Superheroes exhibit, the Center of Science and Industry in Columbus, Ohio, talked to a news station meteorologist talked him through the Center of Science and Industry. We're going to call that COSI. COSI's demonstration of invisibility. The equipment was a commonplace and inexpensive vegetable oil, a pair of tongs, protective gloves, 2 glass beakers, and a small glass flask. the last two items being transparent. Kinzig explained that the objects are visible due to light's reflection and refraction. By immersing the small flask in a beaker of vegetable oil, she rendered the beaker invisible, except for its markings, including volume levels. Next, she set the small beaker full of vegetable oil into a larger one filled with the same substance. The smaller beaker also vanished, except for its markings. Kinzig explained that the combined abilities of the beakers and the vegetable oil to refract light eliminated the refraction and the reflection and made the object inside the beaker seem to disappear. The markings on the flask in the smaller beaker remaining visible made it clear to viewers that the glassware itself had disappeared or seemed to have done so. Although the demonstration was low-tech, it did employ an invisibility cloak of sorts. It exemplified the principles by which such or much more sophisticated invisibility cloaks function, helping young visitors to the exhibit grasp the science of invisibility. Interesting. Number 6 on the list. Canada's hyper-stealth biotechnology is going beyond camouflage as a means of concealing soldiers on the battlefield. Now the company is making not only troops, but also tanks, aircraft, and ships invisible using a patented quantum stealth material. Like most other stealth technology techniques, this process works by bending light around objects, but with the advantage that it needs no power source and is both paper-thin and inexpensive. Broadband invisibility cloak works as effectively as with ultraviolet, infrared, or shortwave infrared light. And there's a video out there that demonstrates the product's effectiveness. Which I have to take a peek at. Number 5. When it comes to invisibility, the thinner the cloak, the better. Nia Brown's article on a cloak made of metamaterials explains why. Such engineered materials are designed to distort perception, but can also interact with various types of electromagnetic radiation in a way that natural materials cannot. Since thicker materials are bulkier than the objects they are intended to conceal and less reflective than thinner ones, the object to be hidden appears darker than its surroundings, which actually emphasizes the object's presence. A single-layer sheet of Teflon containing ceramics developed by electrical engineers at the University of California makes whatever it covers look completely flat and eliminates the stark contrast and intensity between the covered object and its surroundings, thereby controlling light reflection. How about that? Number 4 on this list. Research concerning invisibility has become international in scope. In Singapore, researchers have successfully hidden a cat and a goldfish in broad daylight. How? Well, a glass wall plays tricks with light, directing illumination away from the objects to be hidden. Behind the illusion is what its inventor, Zhang Bale, assistant professor for physics at the Nanyang Technological University, refers to as an invisible carpet cloak using light-bending calcite crystals. The cloak requires no special conditions. It works well in both air and water. It can be used on a large scale. The invisible walls do have limitations, though. The cloak's ability to make things invisible works from only 6 directions. And it's bulky and hard to move around. However, the device has potential applications in both thermal management and photon circuits. He also says he remains committed to furthering innovative invisibility research in Singapore. The Silicon Valley of Asia is investing millions in such work. Number 3. In the past, camouflage has been a passive undertaking involving the wearing of uniforms designed to blend with terrain features or draping large objects, such as tanks, in similar material. Now, active camouflage materials exist that could conceal personnel and equipment from infrared or visual detection. However, to date, only a few experiments have succeeded in effectively cloaking objects from precise wavelengths and certain vantage points. Active camouflage promises better results, mimicking the way that such animals as the squid and chameleons alter their appearance to match their surroundings. The objects to be hidden seem to change their appearance to match their surroundings. In reality, screens show observers photographs of objects or scenery on the other side of the object. Instead of seeing the object, the viewer sees what the screen displays in its place. Interesting. Number 2 on this list, the most invisibility cloaks work best on stationary objects or objects that exercise limited movement. But not so Cornell University's time cloak. Imagine a sequence of action lasting a split second has been inserted into a movie. Watching the film, viewers do not see the inserted material. It's as though the action sequence is invisible to them. Researchers at Cornell University did something similar, except that instead of an action sequence, they used fiber optics to split a beam of light in two. One moves faster, the other slower, so that neither of them is visible in the time lens created by other beams traveling through the cable. Instead of bending light around an object, as other invisibility cloaks do, the time cloak masks an entire event in time. Like it never happened. Interesting. And number 1, not only large objects, such as glass walls and vast systems of cameras and screens can bend light, microscopic devices use metamaterials, specially structured materials, of course, with surfaces dotted with holes smaller than the width of visible light waves. These materials are also capable of smoothly shuttling light rays around them. Metamaterials can produce seemingly magical effects. Tests of a prototypical woven fishnet of silver nanowires, each one about 10,000 times thinner than a human hair, were found to bend red light from all angles hundreds of times more effectively than in past attempts. A second such device, relying on 21 stacked grids of silver and magnesium fluoride of similar small sizes, bent infrared light. Interesting stuff, you guys. Pretty soon, we're not going to be able to see anything. Hiding in broad daylight. Anyway, that is the top 10 this morning. Kind of a nerdy one this morning. Anyway, we're going to do our shameless plugs here, and I'm going to let you get on with the rest of your Wednesday so you can prepare to watch us hurt ourselves tonight on the Jams and Cocktails podcast. Again, join us tonight, 8 p.m. right back here on the Jams and Cocktails podcast network, wherever you're watching the show. Join us live. We're taking on the Pocky One Ship Challenge 2022. It's going to be fire. So come and hang out with us. Shout out to my friends at Code Rum, Johnny Ringo at Code Rum, Hop Life Brewing, who will be our guest next week on the Jams and Cocktails podcast, the Sneaky Tiki in downtown Stewart, and Paul, of course, from Drums and Rums. Check out his podcast. Just dropped one yesterday, episode 112 with Matt Petrick. And again, watch that. Wait for the In 4 Sips or Less segment. And then tonight on Jams and Cocktails, tell me who was the first band that Matt Petrick named in the third question of In 4 Sips or Less. And you're going to win some prizes. Good stuff. The Pirates and Parrot Heads cruise. Of course, that's coming up in January, January 13th through the 15th, sailing out of the port of Palm Beach on the Margaritaville at Sea. It's the Pirates and Parrot Heads Party in Paradise cruise, put on by Johnny Ringo from the Code Rum Company. We're working really hard on making this a very exciting and memorable cruise. Of course, award-winning singer-songwriter Jesse Rice will be performing on that cruise just for you. So check it out. I'll put the link out there for it. It's on our JNC, or Jams and Cocktails podcast Facebook page. Just look at our events. It's there for you to check out. And consider sailing with us in January. Everyone's doing it. It's going to be fun. And, of course, happening this weekend is Mel Fisher Days down in Key West. So if you're down that way from the 2nd to the 6th, which is this Friday to Tuesday of next week, check out Mel Fisher Days. It's commemorating the 400th anniversary of the Etosha shipwreck. And of course, Mel Fisher Days honors the legacy of Mel Fisher, and as well as the Etosha and other vessels from the 1622 fleet that were lost in the Straits. And it's taking place at various Key West locations, so go to melfisher.com for more info if you're down that way this weekend. Right. And I think that does it for my shameless plugs. Always good stuff. I thank you so much for joining me this morning here on Jams and Coffee. More content tonight on the Jams and Cocktails podcast. Join us. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a great time. Enjoy your Wednesday. Be cool out there. Eat outside today. National Eat Outside Day. My name is Brad Rod. I'll see you tonight. And then again, of course, tomorrow morning. See ya.
Tune in again tomorrow morning for the latest local buzz, national headlines, music news, and more on JNC in the Morning, right here on Facebook and YouTube.